What's going on, world? So we have a lot to cover here today regarding what Phil Spencer said and how you see the industry shifting towards more of a multi-platform strategy rather than, the Xbox versus PlayStation console war. I mean, there's people that still want to kind of keep that little flame going, but it's nowhere near as big as it used to be. And it's more about definitely if we think about what Microsoft is doing too, we're going to get to PlayStation 2. After spending 69 billion on Activision, it's more about making that back now, regardless of one's ego of wanting to keep things on one's console, which we know they've moved away from a while ago. But now it's getting to the point where they're even thinking about putting their big flagship games on PlayStation, and maybe not day one, but eventually having it there. But we do know that there's going to be obviously a lot of Xbox games that they have from monopolizing coming up that are going to be coming to PlayStation. Like you see what's going on next year with a couple games. So if we take a look at Indiana Jones, we could see that that's going to be coming out next spring. That's another example of the strategy that you see them trying to do. Now, going up here, we see that Phil Spencer isn't planning any imminent gaming acquisitions, but they still want to be in the market about it. It says they're open to more, but I don't think they're looking at something like Activision. They're looking at something else. Because if we go down here, it says when we can find teams and technology and capabilities that add to what we're trying to do in gaming at Microsoft, absolutely we will keep our heads up. So it's not just about games, but it's also about, like you said, teams and technology and capability. So there's a lot of aspects that they're looking for, and we see they want to partner with China too, which is actually smart because Sony got on that Hero project with China, and you see India, which will eventually come in, and they got some pretty good games there. So China's definitely going to be coming up in the industry, and he wants to make sure that Microsoft has some leeway on that, obviously. But to move on to another subject, Phil Spencer says the Xbox handheld is a few years out, and I'm going to say why this is actually a good idea. First and foremost, let's think about this. If they release it right now, that's not going to do as well as it should. I think that would be terrible timing on the market with the Switch 2 on the corner that would just completely crush it. Because they have so many games, and they're just peak meta. When it comes to Nintendo, they're the only ones that I still see as a video game developer that really represents video game in the console industry. And what I mean by that is they don't get affected by DEI, woke into that nonsense. They're primarily first party. You can't take anything from them. They've always been leading and creating and dominating at the highest spectrum. They just need better technology. That's pretty much it. And then some people get mad at them about some of the lawsuits they do. But hey, you know how they are. Just don't do that then. You know what I mean? Avoid it. But going down, it says expectations is that we would do something, Spencer said, while also noting work on such a project that has yet to progress beyond market research and prototyping. Longer term, I would love us building devices, and I think our team could do some real innovative work, but we want to be informed by learning and what's happening now. And that's a smart decision. Like I said, learn, watch Nintendo even more, do the handheld properly, and then have it to where it has better technology closer to next gen. I think they want to have the Xbox handheld for next gen consoles, and that's a better move. Not right now. It's just bad timing because you have to have development for that and everything. They'll get their studios more in line. Uh, they'll get used to having all these staff members all over the place, and everything will be more balanced. Then they'll say, okay, now we can focus on that and have that ready for next gen and do it the right way because they have the money and resources. So that's not really the issue. So he said he admitted to being a big fan of handhelds in February 2024. A conversation with The Verge, and a month later discussed his philosophy on handheld gaming with Polygon. I want my Lenovo Legion Go to feel like an Xbox, Spencer told Polygon editor-in-chief Chris Plant. I brought this Lenovo Go with me to GDC, Developers Conference. I'm on the airplane and I have this list of everything that makes it not feel like an Xbox. Forget about the brand, more like are all of my games there? Do all my games show up with the save? He means like cloud, Game Pass, all of that. So you can expect them to try to do that. So that's pretty much obvious. And he says he feels good about where the industry is going. Spencer said before criticizing strategies that, like those that led to Sony's expensive new PlayStation 5 Pro console to reach new players, we're not going to grow the market with $1,000 consoles. So we know Microsoft's not going that route, which is smart. Now, going over here, we have more highlights of what Phil Spencer was talking about. Then we're going to get to PlayStation in a second. As a matter of fact, we can just highlight an important thing. So we're talking about earlier multi-platform. Increasing the emphasis on releasing first-party titles on multiple platforms, including PC, to expand market reach and improve profitability. As I was saying before, that's what it's about. Definitely after the Concord failure, right? So think about that when he says multiple platforms. Then he says including PC. So he's talking about Nintendo and Xbox, right? So these new CEOs that are there and these new presidents, that they're realizing it's not about your ego anymore. You can't sit here like we're in the 360 days, right, or the PS2 and lock a ton of games. Square Enix says they're not doing it no more. Capcom doesn't want to do it, right? We just kind of see it happening. The only company that can do this because they've always done the right things gaming wise is Nintendo. But when it comes to like massive third party and you know the PlayStation and Sony worlds, they have to think differently. So what's the best way to empower yourself if you're going to do that? Improve on your first party. Microsoft started monopolizing. Sony did on a different way too, but not on a scale like Microsoft. So what you're going to start seeing is PlayStation games coming to Xbox and PC more, and Nintendo and Xbox games already were coming to PlayStation, Nintendo, and they've been on PC since day one, and they're going to want to do that a little bit more because, like I said, after that almost $70 billion Activision deal, we have people behind Xbox because it's not just Xbox anymore. No, it's Microsoft now, meaning Satya Nadella and all the higher ups wanting to say we need to make that money back. It's all about profit. We want the gaming industry to be as good as every other company in Microsoft. And if that's going to happen, that means you got to put your games more elsewhere. And it's all about making massive profit and having it available everywhere. Not saying I want to lock it here to my machine so that it can grow here. And that kind of means that the Xbox brand is less more about consoles now and more about massive third party because they don't have the strong worldwide brand like Nintendo and Sony in the gaming industry to where they can sell 100 plus million consoles, right? So that's why they have to go different routes. But all in all, it ends up working, and Microsoft is fine, and they can do whatever they want and sit on that unlimited money pool. Whereas like Sony, they have to be more careful. Nintendo obviously has to be careful too, but they're going to be fine. So I think with Sony, they're going to start like narrowing the windows of how long you would have to wait for PlayStation first party games. And with the Switch 2 coming around the corner with NVIDIA technology, they'll be able to handle ports. And, what I'm thinking more about this too, and let's just think about this, yo, as like console wars between Xbox and PlayStation kind of dwindle down, and it's more about expandability and growing rather than their ego. I think what Sony may do first, and Microsoft may do the same thing, is that they may target PC and Nintendo first over each other. Or if the leaders just say, screw that, let's just do all first. But that's just kind of like my thinking. I kind of believe that uh, definitely on Sony's end, right? Because we see that with them wanting to target PC, but now they're realizing I think we need to target Nintendo and then we need to target Xbox. So we're going to see how that works. But that's just my way of the way I think their egos think sometimes, where they target each other last and benefit PC and Nintendo because Nintendo is not an enemy to them and they're not really their rival. It's more like them butting heads with each other. But all in all, this is all good because we realize now it's all about unity and expandability and having all communities be reached rather than let me lock it here. And Sony's still the worst with that because they still try to do that, as we see with a lot of games and a lot of deals they try to make. But companies are starting to realize that, sorry, but we can't make this permanent. We want to eventually go over there. I like what I saw with Death Stranding go to Xbox too. And I own all consoles. I've always had. I've been gaming for over 30 years. And what I'm seeing now is we're going to start seeing games get their full potential and full expandability. And then there's some people that are still like loving one platform or the other more, and they kind of don't want that. But what you need to realize is what's best for the developers and for the communities, right? Because if the game is selling 1.5 or 2 million more because it reached out, that means that your favorite IPs and companies can now get more profit and make more games and make more content. So we have to look at the bigger picture rather than looking at it from an egotistical perspective. Now, to get back over here, though, we see that they're not leaving the console industry. The console industry isn't going anywhere. Like some people thought it was going to die, later at the end of this decade or, in 2030. No, it's not. David said, I love us building devices. So think about when he says that. All right, so maybe the next gen is what, 2027, 2028. It usually lasts 6 to 7 years. So we got 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then they make another console there. It's going to go into the 2040 era. So consoles are here to stay, and I think they should because it's just more healthy for the gaming industry. Now, more games coming to Nintendo PlayStation. I do not see sort of red lines in our portfolio as we see that. They're trying to look at not necessarily, like you said, the red lines of, but it's more like how are we gonna do this? What is our strategy, and what games are we going to make available? And he says the Xbox business has never been more healthy, which means a more healthy future for hardware. So there he is again, consoles and games we build. And then once again saying we're not in the market for $1,000 consoles, basically taking a shot at Sony. Then you had a lot of people saying what they said about Trump with like he's going to do the tariff taxes, and they were worried if consoles are going to be more expensive. That's not necessarily the case. And this means that China will be possibly paying more than what they would to get their stuff over here. They don't necessarily have to jack the price up because of that, because they already made so much money anyways. So don't get too caught up in that, if in case people didn't know about that. And that's the reason why he made this statement right here, even much after he got elected. So just a bunch of nonsense. Don't fall for that. But that's my thing about this, y'all. So let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, and subscribe. And just like end things, I think now we have an industry that's way more healthy because it isn't like we were in back then where we were waiting on this one big blockbuster IP to hit, every 6 months or so. Now you have Game Pass, now you have PlayStation Now you have Nintendo Switch Retro Community Online. We got the Switch 2 around the corner next year. We got Microsoft having a stronger first party. We got Sony realizing they need to have a stronger first party and make better service games, and all of them need to get out of bed with DEI. And we just need to look out for other labels upcoming with that. And then we have, the PC community growing stronger than it's ever. Steam has its biggest growth ever. As you see, it's at its highest peak. All of them are doing well, and they all can add great benefits to us in different ways. You can't deny how great Game Pass is as a PC gamer too, right? Because I have a high-end gaming PC too. It's just phenomenal. You can't deny what Nintendo does for the gaming industry, how they lead and innovate. I mean, the Switch is at almost 150 million sales. Switch 2 is going to do gangbusters. They're going to inspire people to be better and know that you need a strong first party. Sony still can do great things too. Like if we look at all of them, they all have things that can benefit each other, and we need to look at it now more in a unity rather than the direct this versus this. You know, here Microsoft versus PlayStation, and all that type of stuff. I mean, that can be fun sometimes, but these people that are leading now, they realize that now it's about the big picture. Now it's about expanding as much as possible and making as much profit as possible and staying alive and not dying off, like everywhere. And that's a good thing because you don't want um, somebody locking a game to one platform or denying crossplay so another community can die so it can look better on their machine. I just think that's stupid. That's not the type of mindsets we want in the gaming industry. I'm talking about Sony. So yeah, all that has to change now, and it's good to see that. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to add in. This is good news, and I look forward to seeing what else China has that's done the right way, not through a shady way. I look to see India join us in the future, and South Korea more too, because it's just more amazing worlds we could see. And there we have it. All right, y'all. Peace out. Let me know what y'all think.